questions are, somebody, let's see, Patrick wants to talk about backing up large PST files while open and in use. First of all, before we get started, let me just show you a backup and a restore. I'm going to drag the system. I'm going to do a system overview for you. I'm going to show you the server side and the endpoint side. Most of you, I think, most of you have already seen the screens and you know how the software works. So I won't go into great detail on that on this webinar. In case you want to see things like that, there are some, let me show you on our website. You can go to support and tutorials and training, and here you'll see how-to videos and some recorded webinars. The RBackup full demonstration is very popular. The provisioning client endpoints 6-minute video is the most popular. That's a really good one. Installing and running the evaluation software will show you how to install the server and the client software. We do have one question about that today. I'm not going to install it today, but just go, James, you asked that question. Just go to support, tutorials and training, and then click installing and running the evaluation. They're about 30 minutes long, and it'll show you how to install the server and the clients, which we call endpoints. Okay, so first let me drag it. Let me find this and drag it on screen for you to see. This is the endpoint software. The endpoint software, this is the advanced interface for the endpoint software, and some people call this the Windows 98 interface, and they're right. It was designed for Windows 98. However, it's very fast, and it's got all the buttons right up front and all the menus. So you can get yourself into a bit of trouble with this, but if you're a nerd like I am, you prefer to use this one because it does everything. You've got all the buttons right up front. However, if you're a salesman like I'm not, or a service guy like I'm not, you probably prefer to see the simple interface, so I'm going to switch to that one to show you what it looks like. Most of our partners who provide the software to their end users will use the advanced interface when they maintain it or set it up, and then when they leave the site, they'll leave the simple interface on for the end user to use. It's got fewer buttons on it. There are fewer things you can use to get into trouble. Plus, it's got a lot of pop-up context-sensitive help, as you can see here. Here, it's got all these buttons, and it's pretty, and in a minute you'll see something. Yeah, you'll see this little thing pop up here. This pops up throughout. But this drives me crazy because it's a little slow, and I prefer to use the other one, so I'm going to switch it back. And you can switch back at will. You can also tell the software which one to start with initially. Over in the branding and customization tool, you can tell it to start with the simple interface, so when the users bring it up on screen, that's what they'll see. And then when you get on site to fiddle with it, then you can use the advanced interface if you want. So here's the way it works. I'll do a backup and a restore for you to show you. First, we've got the, here I'll show you what we've selected. I've selected this folder. This has got 95 files in it. And this folder I have already pre-selected, so let me just drill down and show you that. Rob, desktop, RBS demo large. Okay, here they all are selected for backup. To do a backup, normally they're run scheduled, but I'm going to run this one manually here, so you just pick the run now. It's going to back up to a server that's in this same local network. All right. There it has selected all the files to back up. It's now compressing, encrypting, and transmitting those files. It digitally signs them before it transmits them, does the compression and encryption before it sends them to the server. The encryption key is held on the client, never sent to the server. The server software cannot decrypt these files when they're sent over there. If anybody wants to know, if anybody wants to see the server-side data store, let me know in the questions, and I'll show that to you. Okay, so this backup is complete. By the way, for those of you who already own the software or you have a demo of the software, what you're seeing on this screen is the beta version. This is the next one, the one that'll be released as soon as they tell me I can release it. It's very fast. It's up to 10 times faster than the old software. This backup that we did just now took just under 20 seconds to complete. If I do the same backup with the older software, it's going to take 55 seconds. Now keep in mind that this is a very small data set. It's only 95 very small files, and they're all ASCII. Well, most of them are ASCII files. And so they're really quick to send. The difference in speed between the old version and the next version that's coming out is really impressive, and it's a lot greater than the just barely over 200% that we got on this one, especially on large files and huge data sets. We have no more limits on huge data sets. If you've run into that problem, you're not going to have that problem again after the next release. Okay, and Paul, we don't know a release date yet. I wish I could give it to you. This one still isn't. We haven't done regression testing on it yet. As you can see, this screen still needs some work. It should have a button on here that says end instead of pause and cancel. Just little things like that that have to be done. We've done most of the big things, but we've got to do some regression testing before we can release it. My guess is you could have a beta for testing only, not for live use, within 2 weeks. Yeah, I said 2 weeks. Let me stretch that to 3. But that's, don't trust me on that. Let's see. Somebody does want to see the data store. So let me just stop. Okay, that was a backup. And let me show you a restore, and then I'll get to the data store. All right, so what I'm going to do is delete all of these files. Delete 95 files. Right on. And then we'll pick restore and select files to restore. And I'll just do a really quick restore. I'm not going to go through the restore screen here, all of the features and functions of this restore screen. This is a really, really powerful screen, but I'm not going to go through all of that now. Or to do a restore, you just select the files you want to restore, and you select restore and say, no, I don't want to redirect them. And here it comes. You can see the files coming back over here. The restores are also a lot faster than the older version. And that's it. We restored them all. Okay, let me show Dan the data store. Let me see. Let me drag this away. And we'll get to the server. Here, let me just open that up right here. The data on the server are stored in regular NTFS or whatever file system you've got it connected to. It really doesn't care as long as Windows can see it. And here's what it looks like. Here's the data store. Usually it's below a folder called RBS. That's the default, but you can set it to anywhere you want, and you can also set it to multiple hard drives and multiple volumes if you want. Each of the users has a folder. So this is a folder, and that's a folder, and that's a user, and that's a user. I think the user I'm logged in today is Rob22, so let me open that up. Okay, so within each of the folders for each of the accounts, there's a whole bunch of other folders, and don't worry about how these are named. The server will create and destroy these as it needs to keep the data good. And let me show you what it looks like. And here's what it looks like. Here's the actual data. Within each of these subfolders, there's all of the data. These are either full files or pieces of files, or they're mailboxes or pieces of mailboxes, depending on how the endpoint software defines this backup. You don't have to worry about that. The software keeps all that together for you. So you can mix and match. You can do a mix of bit backup and full backups and incremental backups and differential backups, and the software keeps track of it. On restore, you don't have to tell it what type of backup it was. It just knows. It remembers that. Okay, here are the files that are in here. In here you've got the logs. These is the logs that were generated by this particular backup are in a standard zip file. You can open that up and look at the customer logs. Each of these files is a piece of a file or an entire file by itself. It's as you can see, we've removed the file names and the folder names. We've got and that's for compliance with HIPAA and other privacy regulations. We can't disclose those to anybody outside the customer's company. If you're using software currently that does do that, then it's not compliant. So this is a file. It's digitally signed. It's got a lot of information in the file name that allows us to validate that file to make sure it's an exact duplicate of the original. This contains the date that you can decode all of this, and if anybody wants to know, you can send me an email at rob@remote-backup.com, and I'll be able to send you a document. Okay, that's it. Oh, the data store can be backed up just like everything else. It's just files. There's nothing special about it. It's not a database, as you can see. It's just files on the regular hard drive. Let's see. Let me get to a question. Dan wants to know if he's a client that puts 15 gigabytes of data on their desktop and that backs up overnight, but that data puts them over the quota. Is there any way to purge just that 15 gigabytes from their backup? Yeah, there is. You can do it from the endpoint. You may be able to do it from the server. There may be a delete files option on this RBS manager. I don't actually remember. I know you can do it from the client, though, from the endpoint. Let me show you that. Okay, where's that? Server 2011 Exchange. Here we go. This is a VMware instance, VMware workstation. Okay, so to delete files, I'll show you how to do it. You pick Options, Delete Files from Server. You get this interface here. Now look, don't get confused. This interface looks a whole lot like the Restore interface, as you can see, but it's not. This is a delete interface, but it works exactly the same way. You select files. Let's just delete our most recent backup. So I'm going to pick Search. I can pick this one, Desktop, or just a large CD. Here are all the files. So I'm going to click these for delete. I'm going to start delete. There it goes, deleting all those files from the most current backup, which is okay because I restored it first. You're welcome, Dan. Paul wants to know if there's a soft limit and a hard limit on the backup size. Yeah, there sure is. You can define the quotas as either hard limits or soft limits, so hard quotas or soft quotas. A hard quota will actually stop the backup when it reaches the quota. A soft quota will not stop the backup, but it will generate a report item and an email. So that email can be sent to you, and it can be sent to your end users. And Paul, I don't know the answer to that one. If you'll email that to me, I'll get you an answer to that. Let's see. Okay, lots of questions. Let me see if I can scroll back through them. Dan, yeah, you can have more than one data store on the server. The data stores can be separated. You can have as many data stores as you want. We have one customer who has a lot of data stores, and his data stores are in USB drives. So he has a USB drive assigned to each end user, and those USB drives are just on a shelf, and each of the end users has his own USB drive. You can do it any way you want. Okay, then. I've lost my questions. Here, let me just pop this up. There we go. Normally, I don't run this myself, so I'm trying to get used to it here. Okay. All right, let's see what's next. Here we go. Okay, backup large PST files. The software for backup files like PST files for backing up, and PST files are usually in huge use. They're very busy all the time. They're opened and written to and changed a lot. PST files are a special case. So are CAD files, CAD drawings that can be huge. So are well, all kinds of files that are really, really big. QuickBooks files are kind of weird. We had to write something special for those. So what we do is we use Microsoft's VSS service to snapshot a picture of that file, and it grabs it very quickly at a stable state. So when you want to back up a PST file, we first wait till it's stable, and then we snap a snapshot of it, and then we back up the snapshot. So we always get a stable version of the file. Further, a lot of people turn on bit backup for those files. Bit backup is our sub-file level backup utility. It allows you to back up just the pieces of files, and that's particularly useful for huge files that change a lot, like PST files. They're huge, but they only change a little. CAD drawings can be multiple gigabytes, but they might change just a little bit. You might change a couple of megabytes. So that's an indicator that's one where you use bit backup, because bit backup will back up only the pieces of the file that have changed. Use it sparingly, though. Bit backup requires a lot of CPU time, and it requires less bandwidth than the rest of them, but it's slower. It requires a hard drive cache. There's a bit backup cache, and that cache can sometimes be the size of all of the files that you've selected for backup. So don't use it for all files. Just use it for huge files that change a little bit. Backup speed, backup GUI, see how backup is formed. Okay, failed around email. Okay, that would be Odd, who wants to know if, who is not even here right now. Let me just check to see who's here, because I may be able to skip some of these questions. Yeah, I'm going to skip that one until he shows up. He's not here. Okay, what files do we need to back up in case the RBS server crashes? Ben wants to know that, and I think that's a useful question. The files that need to be backed up are, I'm going to show them to you. Computer, drive C, wherever you've installed your RBS server software, we write all of that stuff into there. So it's usually in our RBS under program files and RBS server. There we go. If you back up everything in this folder structure, you're cool. If you want to be extra cool, like me, then you'll back up the registry too, and I'll show you the part of the registry to back up. So you would drill down to, let's see, HKey local machine, software, Quantum Tech Inc., RBS server, and back up everything there too. In fact, just get everything here. Quantum Tech Inc. is our very, very, very old company name from many years ago, and we continued to use it in the registry naming convention. Now, having said that, those of you who have current maintenance subscriptions, with the next release of the software, it's going to automatically back itself up to your portal account. Everybody who has maintenance has a partner's portal account. Let me show you that now. The partner's portal account is here, RBS Partners Portal. Let me just log in. You all have an account when your maintenance subscription is good, and with the next release of the software, it's going to automatically do a backup for you. It'll back up the registry for the server. It'll back up all of your customization files. It'll back up your customer database. It's everything you need to rebuild your server in case of a complete crash. And here's the portal. If you can just log in here and download it whenever you want it. It gets it. I think it backs it up once a day. While I'm in here, I'll tell you about the hot site. Here's the hot site. Everybody with a portal account that's active has a free hot site here in Memphis, and it's backed up to Virginia. This hot site is yours to use whenever you need it. For example, if your server crashes for some reason, or your internet goes down, just log into the portal and turn on the hot site button. When you do that, as soon as it turns them on in bulk once an hour, so it could be up to an hour before you get an email, but you'll get an email that says, okay, now your hot site is on and active. When that happens, your customers, we're going to monitor your RBS server for you, and when it goes offline, we'll automatically switch your customers to your portal account, and they'll back up to the hot site here. When your server comes back online, we'll automatically switch them back to you. You can log into the portal and download whatever they sent up while your server was down. And that's free. There's no extra charge to that. There's no, technically there's a quota that's supposed to be 10 gigabytes, but we've turned the hard quota off on that. So You can send as much as you want temporarily. We've got more drive space that we know what to do with. Okay, back to the questions. Customize executable using the portal. Let me see who asked that, because that's Tom. Tom's here. Tom, most people don't use the portal to customize the installer anymore. Most people use the web manager. You have access to the web manager if your software, if you don't already have it and your maintenance is good. Log into your partner's portal account and download it to install it. The branding and customization engine in that web manager is superior to the one on the portal because it can interface directly with your server. So it knows a lot more about your server and your setup for your server than the portal account knows. Do you want to talk about that, Tom? Let me just talk to you about that for a minute. Hey Tom, how are you doing? You can talk if you want. Oh, his mic is bad. Okay, right. Sorry about that. Yep, he typed in his mic is bad. All right, so I think that covered that. If you don't have the web manager installed, it's free. Download it from the portal and use that to do your customizations instead. All right, let's see how to create automatic update notifications. I will show you how to do that. Here we go. First, and I'm going to show you how to do it, Tom. I'm going to show you how to do that with the web manager, because I think you're going to use that from now on. All right, let's log into the web manager. Here are the steps you need to do to make it do automatic updates for your clients. First of all, you have to make sure that the clients are built with the automatic update feature turned on. So I'm going to go to the Customize Endpoint Installer tool and pick Advanced Customization and Enable Software Upgrades. So the first thing to do is to turn software upgrades on. And here's how you do that. It's on this screen. You just click this to be true. And you make sure that all these are correct. In my case, this is a demo server, so these are not correct. You really should never have an IP address here. That should be a domain name, or it should be your server locator host name. Turn that on to true. Okay, from that point on, when you do that, your endpoint software, after it's installed, it'll begin to check in with your web manager server for updates periodically. And it's set to, I think it's set to once a day. And it doesn't check that with the client software itself, with the endpoint software. It activates a second update, program that checks periodically. And if it finds anything to be updated, it'll download and update it. Here's how to force the update. So typically what happens is, and I suggest you use this method, when RBS distributes an update, we distribute an update for both the client and the server. The client update is included in the server update. So what you do is you update your server first. Then you test the new client. You build one. You test it in your own sandbox. If you like it and you want to push it out to your end users, here's how to do it. You pick Setup and Endpoint Upgrades. Make sure that's set to true, and just pick Upgrade Clients. When you pick Upgrade Clients, it schedules an upgrade for all of the clients. It doesn't actually push it out. All it does is make it available to the RBS update utility. So the next time that update utility checks for an update, remember, because it's been activated already by that other screen, it'll pick it up and it'll do the upgrade. It's that simple. It happens over the next 2 or 3 days. They don't all hit you at once. Tom, no, it won't. If the endpoint was installed 3 years ago, this won't work. But let me think. There's another way you can do it. If you installed it, you should have already installed it 3 years ago with the update function turned on. That has to be, no matter what. If you did, then you will have already set up the update server, and all that is a web server. You just have to install the update files on any web server, and then you would have built your client software with the URL for that file. So what will happen is the RBS update utility, which was working 3 years ago, it'll check with that file to see if it's got a new version, and if it does, it'll download it and install it. What we've done in the past 2 years, though, is we put all that functionality into your web manager, because previously you would have had to maintain a web server manually. So a lot of people had problems with that, and we decided to just include it as an automatic feature. Okay, is converting to a SQL database benefit over access, as some of the bigger clients seem to have corrupt databases? Who's asking that? That's Dan. Yeah, Dan. That is. We recommend you convert to the SQL database. The endpoint software, as you know, ships with an access database. And access, we do that because we need some kind of built-in database. We can't legally ship the SQL database with our client software. So we ship the access database, which we can legally distribute, and we give you the option to use the SQL. The endpoint, when you change the access database, is adequate for up to 200,000 files, maybe 300,000 or 400,000 files at the most, and then it runs out of memory, or it runs out of space. Access just isn't good above that. So, but SQL is, and you can use any version of SQL, the free, the cheap, any version of SQL will work. And when you do that, it makes the endpoint software run a whole lot faster with virtually no limits on the number or size of files. So if you have a customer who has over 250,000 files, it's a good idea to install the free version of SQL and update the database in the endpoint software. And let me show you how to do it. If I haven't done it already, it is in Options, and right, that's not it. I must have already done it, so it's not even on here. Normally, there'll be an option on here that says Maintain. Oh, there it is. It says Convert Database to SQL. I haven't done it yet. Just click that, and then there'll be instructions that shows you how to do it. You must have already installed the SQL database, though. Install that first. Jay wants to know if he can install SQL on the RBS server, or can it use SQL on available SQL server. For now, for this version that we have that's out right now, Jay, and also the one that's coming up, you're going to have to install SQL on the same server. I think that's right. Will you email me about it? I think that's correct. SQL has to be on the RBS server itself. We are converting that piece of the code, though, so that it can use a server on another server, another piece of hardware. Okay, let's see what's next. And we're about halfway through. We're doing good. Jeremy wants to know if multiple clients can share a single DB, single SQL. I'm not sure. You mean multiple? Let me. Well, let's talk about it. Let me. Does your microphone work? Yep, I guess it does. There we go. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, the question is okay. So I've got several clients that have multiple endpoints installed that are big file servers that have would definitely benefit from jumping to SQL. Do I have to do a SQL for each one of them on their particular endpoint, or can I set up just a centralized SQL server that would host multiple databases for each client?
I don't know the answer to that, but I've just typed it. I've just IM'd somebody smarter than me in our development office, so I'm going to get you an answer to that one right now.
Okay.
Here it comes. You can't. You can't. The answer is each one of them has to have his own SQL server, and I like that idea, and they listen to me. So what I'll do is I'll put that in the pipeline for development. That should be possible. Okay. Can I do anything else for you right now?
That's it for the moment.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeremy. Let's see. All right. So server installation and client installs. We've already talked about that. I talked about that first. That was the demos that I wanted you to see online. And let's see. Here they are. Tutorials and training. It's this one. So just click this one. Um, okay. Once somebody wants to know about branding, let's see. Tim, are you here? Uh, Tim's not here. But for those of you who want to know about branding anyway, let me show it to you. Let me show you how you can do the branding. We have some time. Okay, branding. You do that in the web manager, and here it is. So you would pick setup. So the way this works is you install the software on the server. When you install the software on the server, it installs your server software. That's the software that receives and stores backups and serves up, restores. It also installs the software, which we're looking at right here, that's used to manage your endpoints. You can manage all of your accounts through this web interface. This web interface runs on your server, doesn't run here. So you have complete control over that. You can, and there's also some tools here. So the procedure is you install, or we install it for you. We'll install the server software and all the management tools and the branding and customization tools. You can get to them all through this menu system. To brand the software, you go through all these screens. There are 5 of these, and multiple screens. So you can change the company name, the software owner. You can change the graphics, the icons. You can change all kinds of things. You can set 450 different defaults and branding. So it's kind of like roll your own software. This takes a little while to go through, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But once you're done, you've built your own endpoint software with all the features you want in it, with exactly the way you want it to look and operate, and with features that are designed specifically for your business model, the way that you want to roll the service out. You don't have to do that by yourself. We'll do that for you. We'll do that with you. By that I mean when we install the software, the engineer that installs it for you will ask you a few questions about how you want to run your service, and he'll do an initial setup for you and make sure that it runs, and he'll do a test. He'll create a installer, he'll install it, he'll test it. After that, he schedules a training session with somebody, and in a training session we go through all of this. So we'll go through all of these screens with you, and we'll ending for you. We won't do your graphics. You'll have to do that yourself. But we'll answer questions. It really only takes an hour to do. I do most of these myself, and I can get it done in an hour easy. You can go through all these screens. We'll change backup folder limits. Look, you can turn on where it shows you a schedule. You can turn on a subfolder limit. You can change the queue limits. Somebody asked me a question about quotas a minute ago, and let me tell you something else about that. Besides the disk space quotas, there are also 2 other quotas that you can use for throttling. And while I'm mentioning throttling, there are also other options that you can use to throttle bandwidth, CPU usage, memory usage. But there are also 2 other throttles that are based on time. You can set a quota for the amount of time that a backup session takes, and this is great in case you've got a company that doesn't want the backup to run during the business day. So you would launch this at say open at 8 a.m. You would launch this backup at midnight, and then set it to go for 8 hours. And at the end of 8 hours, if it's not finished, it'll pause, and it'll pick it up the next night. That's one quota. Another quota is on the amount of data that can be sent in an individual session, and you can set that in megabytes or gigabytes. And when it reaches the end of that, it'll pause till the next night. So we go through all these screens. We got advanced options here. Most of you know this is hybrid software, so it can back up to 3 locations all at the same time or independently, depending on how you want to set it up. It can back up to a local device. It can back up to your RBS server, and it can also back up to a cloud service like Google Drive, Dropbox, S3, anything that has a utility that comes with it that can map a local drive or a local resource to your cloud account. Those 3 that I mentioned do have that. Let me check the questions here. They're coming in hot and heavy. Paul, what's a 10 backup? You want to talk? Let me get you. There we go. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yeah. Hey, Rob. How are you?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. What's a 10 backup?
So it's am I right in thinking that the system can do a full hardware restore or a full OS restore?
Yeah, it can. I'll show you. Let's see. Let me. Which one am I going to show you on? Here, let me show you on this one. Let me drag this away. Okay, here we go. Nope, that's the registry. So many things. All right, here we go. Here we go. While I'm showing you this, let me show you the VMware and Hyper-V backups too. When you install the endpoint software, well, actually not when you install it, when you every time you run the endpoint software, it does an inventory of the system to see what there is to back up. And if it finds Active Directory, it'll back that up. If it finds here, you can see it found VMware. So I've got VMware in VMware workstation running, and in the workstation I have two things running. I have an SBS 2011. That's the one that I've just here. I'll show it to you. That's this one that we've been using for demos. I also turned on the Ubuntu, the Linux, so and you can see that it's running here. So to back these up, I'll just click these and that'll back them up. Same thing with full image backups, and here it is. When you select the full image backup set, it can back up the drives themselves, the hard drives, or it can also back up the volumes that are on the
So
hard drive.
if you lose the server with the backup agent, how would you go about doing a restore?
Well, you can do it two ways. One way is these files that it maintains are standard Microsoft VHD files. They're just Hyper-V files. They're uncompressed and unencrypted, so you can mount them directly with a hypervisor if you want. And that's the quickest way, and in my opinion, the best way. I think all servers ought to be virtualized these days for that purpose only. You can bring them back online so quickly, and they're so easy to back up in their entirety. That's just my opinion. But if you want, you can use this to virtualize the server. You can, if you've got a server that's not virtualized, you can use this to back it up, and then when it crashes, most people will upgrade the hardware right then, and you can just take that VHD file and you can either virtualize it and run it at a hypervisor, or you can create a CD. If you wanted to burn it back to to bare metal, the procedure would be to get a CD with Windows PE on it and a utility that can write the VHD file to the new bare metal. You boot the computer from the Windows PE, you run the utility, you point it at the VHD file, and it'll write it back. Not a lot of people are doing that anymore. Most people are just go ahead and they're making the jump to virtualization at that point. But we are going to come out with a little Linux kernel, and that's why I'm working on this over here. We're going to come out with a Linux kernel with that built-in utility. You'll be able to download it. It'll run from a flash drive or from a DVD or anything that can be mounted. What it'll do is it'll mount the brand new computer, and it'll automatically bring up our utility to write the VHD file. So it'll be like a two-step process real quick. Did that answer it all?
Awesome. Yep, thanks very much, Rob.
Okay, you're welcome, Paul. Okay, let me see what other questions I've got here. Okay, Brian wants to know if we convert to SQL, will the SQL data be backed up by the software without us doing anything explicitly to make this happen? I think the current MDB is backed up. Yeah, it will. It backs up the SQL data. Jay wants to know if we have a good white sheet on customizing the web interface. Oh, no. The best we have is, I'll show you. We don't have a white paper on it, but we do have something good, and it's on the Help menu of the Web Manager itself. You pick Help, Web Manager Help, and then its very first item here, it says a Web Manager default website. This is the documentation that we have. Now, you will need a web developer to do this. There's nothing automatic. We don't have anything built in. We don't have anything built in that's automatic to do this. So you will have to be a web developer or hire one. But this screen, this section of the help file shows you all the files included in the web manager itself. As you can see, most of the ones that you can edit are HTML files. It's also got some ASP files and some CSS, and you're welcome to modify all of those if you want at your own risk. There's also a general structure of the site. This shows you the folder structure. It has a list of all of the HTML files and which ones you can change. So to change the header, let me show you the header here. Here's an example. This is the header. This section of the file is the header. This is the menu. This is the body. You can, and also down at the bottom there's a footer down here, footer.html. When you first install the web manager, there are kind of like instructions already here. Look, this one shows you, tells you which file this is in. This, well, I'm sorry, this one is called short header. There's another one called header. So you would look up short header on your drive and just bring that up in whatever you're going to use to modify it, and you can modify that. Tom wants to know if, yeah, that's a good question too, Tom. If the software is branded using the web manager, what happens to the customized files when the RBS sends out new versions? Will they replace the RBS versions? Nope, they won't. All your branding will stay intact. That was an easy question. All right, let's see what else we have. Dan wants to know if we're able to find out how many files the client has so he can keep an eye on which ones he'll need to upgrade to SQL, and what was the limit that you said again for MS Access. Oh, okay, I got it. Let me reread this. You can find out how many files a customer has. Let me, Dan, have you got a microphone? Let's talk. Hey, Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear Rob.
All right, good, good. Here, I want to get further clarification on what you want to talk about. So you can find out how many files a customer has. I'll show you how with the web manager. You just go to endpoints, and it'll all be listed right here. You can pick the, let me look at Rob 22. I think that's the one. Well, let me just look at this one. You can get individual usage reports on each customer, and here it is. This shows you the storage overall, the bytes, the local storage, all kinds of stuff. There are also other reports that you can get that show this. So you can go to reports. Let's look at a disk resources report. That's a good one. The disk resources report, look, it shows you the, this is the name of the endpoint, and this is the number of files stored. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Okay. All right, good. Anything else I can do for you?
What was the maximum files you said for the MS Access database as well? Was it like 200,000 or something, did you say?
Oh, yeah. Let me just, okay, all of my guys have left. They've gone to dinner. So I was going to ask somebody smarter than me, but they're all gone, and I'm left sitting here. So I said 250,000. I said I think Access will handle more than that, maybe up to 500,000. Maybe somebody who's smarter than me on this webinar can correct me, but I think I'm saying if you've got a customer with 250,000 files, upgrade them to SQL.
Yep. All right. That's perfect.
All right. Good. Thank you, Dan. Let's see. All right, what's next? Let's see. Brian asked about, let's see, is Brian even here? No, oh yeah, Brian's here. Restoring and selecting files. How do you restore data in the event of a system crash from a new OS install? Hey, Brian, let me ask you a question. Have we already covered that, or do you want further clarification?
I actually just wanted more clarification, I guess, on if you have to put in the key and I guess the process, not necessarily the restore and selecting files part, since we already covered that, but kind of like what you need for the key to put in, and
yeah. Okay, let me
going from like a scratch
try to show you that
install.
Okay, I can't show you a from scratch install like that because I don't think I can.
Sure.
No, I can't show you that, but I can show you the keys that you'll need. Options. Let me just fiddle with something manually here. Don't try this at home. Let's see. Let me change this key. Let me just generate a new key here. This is going to force it to, there we go. That's the thing I wanted. Okay, whenever you do anything to your software that changes its ability to do a disaster recovery on its own, it'll ask you if you want to create an updated emergency key file. You will always say yes. Please say yes to that. I'm going to create it for you, and I'm going to put it on the desktop. Where am I going to find the desktop? Is it under computer? Maybe I'm staring at it. Oh, it's right there. Already selected. Okay. Pick OK. Okay, it has just created these two files, recovery.dat and recovery.dsk. A lot of our partners who are full-service MSPs and take full responsibility for their customers' backups and restores will save these files for their customers. Now, one problem with that is when you take these files off-site, you have to, if your customer has to comply with HIPAA, then you have to have already signed an agent document, I think, that your healthcare provider customer will have that document. Anyway, it promises that you'll keep that data safe, because with this data, you will be, with these two files, you will be able to see your customer's data. You can recover it at the server. So anyway, you save these files, you zip them up, you email them to yourself, whatever you have to do. Also, this shows up. Now, this is a screen that you can print. These files are all that's needed if you want to do a disaster recovery with the software itself. On fresh install, let me tell you guys how that works. On a fresh install, the very maybe second pop-up that comes up is a question that says, is this a disaster recovery or is this a fresh install? If it's a disaster recovery as defined by the computer went down and you restored the operating system, and you've installed the RBackup endpoint software, and now you want to restore some files, that's the type of disaster recovery that you'll do. With that, when you say it's a disaster recovery, you'll click the disaster recovery button, and it'll ask you for these files. If you don't have these files, you can type all of this stuff in. This is a little report that pops up every time you change something that will affect its ability to do a disaster recovery. You can print this and put it in an envelope and save it somewhere. This is all the info you need. So if you don't have these files, you can input the data manually from this report. Did that answer everything?
Perfect. Yep. That's what I was asking. Yep. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Okay. Let me go through. We've got about 7 minutes left. Large Exchange backups and OpenStack Swift integration. Let me see who's asking about that. I don't. Shoot, what have I done here? All right, I shouldn't try to run this myself. Oh, it's Jeremy. Jeremy, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you explain it to me? Are you there? Can you hear me, Jeremy?
Sure. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Basically, we've had some issues with some of our clients that have rather large Exchange databases, 300 plus gig databases. Even getting an initial on-site backup, we're having issues with it failing. That would be the first question of that, and then the second question would be any plans. I know you've got the cloud provider, where you can hook up to Amazon EC3, whatever.
Yeah.
Any plans to integrate direct with an object-based storage provider like Amazon or OpenStack?
Yeah, we do have plans for that. We're not working on it currently, but we know we have to support it.
Okay.
So it's in the development pipeline, and we haven't started on it yet. For those kind of things, we need to hire somebody for that, because nobody on our staff understands it yet, and I don't want to have to learn it and then implement it. So we're going to have to hire somebody who already knows it, so when we implement it, we do it right.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we'll have to support all that stuff, and the Azure and Hadoop and all of that stuff that's object-based.
Okay, yeah, because we're rolling out an object-based storage pool for our backups so that we don't have any, it's elastic. It grows as we need it to.
Yeah.
So okay.
Okay.
So that's that.
Are you talking about when you say that? Are you talking about having the RBS server store its data in the database itself?
Yeah, in the actual objects, instead of looking at an NTFS file, it dumps it straight into object storage.
Yeah, we've already done that with Oracle 11G, and it works great. We've approximated objects by using the blob field in Oracle, and what we've done is not with this product. We have another product that we've discontinued called Mercury. It was way ahead of its time, but it used Oracle G as a back end. Wow, that's fast. It works great. The next huge update to our software will switch the back end storage to whatever you want. We're going to support anything SQL.
Okay.
And
well, not necessarily the storage being an actual database, but just being the object, S3 Swift storage pools.
Okay, so you want to be able to support. You want to be able to send the storage from the server up to S3 as primary
Correct.
storage. Oh yeah, we'll be doing that too.
Okay, without having to mount the run the little app that mounts a Windows share.
Yeah.
The software. Okay.
Yeah. We've already bought a third-party utility. There are components out there for that, and we've already bought a component that we can redistribute that can support 5 different object-based storage solutions like that. And I'm unfamiliar with it, and the developers are in a meeting right now, so I can't ask anybody. So,
okay.
But
okay. Perfect.
No, that's already in-house and being tested.
Okay, great. Yeah, because we would like to get on board with that as soon as possible, even in helping beta testing it.
Okay, I don't expect that to be available until the next huge release. We've got a few releases of version 11 and 12 scheduled, but there's a total rewrite coming, and this won't be available until the total rewrite, which I don't even think we're going to start for another 6 months.
Okay.
All right. Did that answer all your questions?
About that, what about back to the large exchange databases?
I think that's a tech support issue. I don't know how to answer that except to say that we're supposed to support any size exchange database, and if it's not, let me get you with somebody in tech support and try to solve that problem individually. And if it's a problem with our software, they'll tell you so. And I'm running the beta version of the endpoint, so I don't know why you couldn't, unless there's something wrong with it. Again, I don't know.
Sure. Okay.
That'll work. Tech support. Okay.
Great.
Okay, let me check some last-minute questions. We got about 3 minutes left. Let's see here. Let's see. Tom wants to know, so once branded, nothing else is necessary? Nope. I think that was a follow-up to the question about the upgrades. And if so, then yep. Okay, Doug wants to know about how to troubleshoot backup issues. We've been trying to do a first full copy to disk of 65 gigs, less than 100,000 files, and the backup hangs at 97% with no errors. You worked with tech support over a week and still not resolved, and your mic's not working. The best way to troubleshoot that kind of thing is with the client logs. You should turn the endpoint logs up to high, or whatever the highest setting is. Run the backup, and then give us the logs. And if you've already been working with our tech support, Doug, I'm assuming that they've already told you that. If they haven't, then you send it to them. Just do that and send it to them and attach them to whatever ticket you've got. It shouldn't hang like that. That's not a huge backup, especially with that number of files. Check that you're not running out of drive space. Check that you're not using bit backup, because bit backup will run its cache out of space sometimes if you've got a small hard drive. Again, I don't know. I haven't looked at the ticket, so I don't know. But check with tech support. Yeah, we have recorded this webinar, and so I'm going to post it for. Let's see, who wants to know? Yeah, Tom wants to know. I have recorded this webinar, and I'll post it. I will tell you where it's posted here. I can't send everybody an individual email, mainly because I don't know how. So let me show you where it's going to be posted. It'll be posted right here under support, tutorials and training, and then go to recorded webinars, and it'll be the most recent one. Okay, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. If you have any questions or anything that I didn't answer, and their questions are from me, you can send them to rob@remote-backup.com. Tech support issues can go to our tech support department, any of the many ways that you know how to reach it. Anything else I can do for you, just let me know. Let's see, those of you who haven't bought the software yet, the sales guys told me to tell you we're running a special. You can get double clients if you order today or tomorrow. Those of you who need to renew your maintenance, we're going to hold over the maintenance deal. The maintenance deal was you get 100 extra licenses when you renew today or tomorrow. Okay, that's the commercial part of this. All right, thanks everybody. See you next time. Now, how do I turn this thing off?